not formal. It's hosted by Rory Pendlin. Oh, and Renee in tow. It's time to start the show. 1, 2, 3, go!
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of It's Casual. This is episode number 113, and I have a very special guest on here, somebody that I've been wanting to get on the show for a long time, and he's been very busy, and I finally was able to get him to come on today. So I'm so happy. I'm stoked to the moon and back. Please let me welcome my director, producer, right hand, co-host, everything, Renee Jaworski.
Hello. I'm excited. And guess what? I found one of the clips. It's Lunchbox
What?
in 1992. So let's take a look at what Ward Smith was doing.
I believe.
Okay. All right. So
Yeah.
let's check it out.
Last time I was home, my mom, God bless her, she's wonderful. That's my little grandson. I passed on some things that I found when you were a boy, so you can give to your son. It's really cool. She found my old lunchbox. You know, the tin ones, not this little plastic stuff they got now, Teddy Ruxpin, My Little Pony, Teenage Mutant Ninja, whatever all these things are. You remember the old ones, guys? How Batman, Aquaman, Superman, just the guy in a white suit, Madman. Had that big arm to kick the thermos in there, right? It's great. Had my original G.I. Joe right in there, man. A little 12-foot high one. They got this little plastic deal they got now. Remember those guys? Lifelike hair, Kung Fu Grip, remember that? Kung Fu Grip came out at the same time the Barbie camper did, right? He was home from the war. Sure, man. So my first love letter was in there. Do you love me? Yes, no, checkbox. Remember that one? My second love letter, do you love me? Yes, no? Yep. And a little note from Mom. Remember Mom used to take a little note to the lid? Here, Mom, you did that, didn't you? Have a good day at school. Right? Little kiss. X was a kiss, O was a hug, right? I was 14 before I figured this out. Have a good day at school, love, Ox.
All right. See, now that's the Ward Smith that I remember. I used to work with him on stage. We used to share stage together in comedy, working for all kinds of different comedy chains in the Southeast. Let's go ahead and bring him up right now. Not keep him waiting any longer. There he is.
There he is. That was very funny. I remember the little butterfly boxes or whatever they were when you would click back and forth and you'd yes or no. Like, yeah, I remember that. You brought back memories. It's so funny.
That clip is as old as my oldest son. That's about about 33 years old. Was it 92? Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's 32. When we worked together.
Yeah, right.
It was back 30 years ago.
That's when we first saw each other.
So yeah. Well, again, you live in Tampa Bay, am I right?
I live in St. Petersburg.
Oh, St. Petersburg. So yeah, you used to come over to the Tampa Bay area to the Comedy Corner and
well, that's where I grew up. I grew up in Tampa, and that was
Crackers.
Crackers, and I think did I meet you at the Corner or Crackers or?
I think we met at the Corner. I think you came into the Corner first.
Coconuts too on the beach.
And Coconuts. Yeah, Palm Shoemaker.
London Victory Club used to do comedy. Remember back in those days?
I don't think I did that one. But Larry Silver, Groucho's.
Oh yeah.
All kinds of
Mike and Mark
work back in those. Yeah, the
Hammerhead Boys.
I was almost going to say what a lot of people call them behind the scenes.
Yeah, that's right.
But
just to say that, I mean, how those guys, or anybody, how do they, without technology today, how do they get those gigs? There was 8 weeks worth of work throughout the state.
Yeah.
And those guys, do they get in the car? Do they go canvass these areas? Or they cold call them and say, it's comedy, here's the contract, here's the numbers? And I don't know how they did it. But they put us all to work.
And hotels and restaurants and things go, hey, we can do a comedy night at your place for,
X amount.
We'll bring comedians in every weekend or what have you. Or
whatever the pitch was, they'll sell booze. Yeah. It's like on a Tuesday night, there's no comedy, right? There's nothing. There's no Monday Night Football. Tuesday, there was no karaoke then. You want people to drink. It wasn't ladies' night, not till the weekend or something like that. Here's a Tuesday night. You get 3 guys. You just pay them, and then you guys can keep the booze, whatever it was. Because then you get, if it was, 50, 75, and 100 for the night for performers, and then you're getting, like 400, 500 for the week. So, I mean, and plus whatever cut they're getting. I don't know how they set it up. I mean, I know how to set it up now. I don't know how they did it then, but it was amazing that they were able to do it and got us all work.
At that time, I mean, comedy was king. I mean, there was a club. There was like 4 or 5 clubs in every town.
Well, it was my old adage is there used to be 500 comics, and 2,000 rooms. Now there's 20,000 comics in 6 rooms.
Yeah, there you go. So, and we're going to talk about that progression in your life because you started out doing comedy. What's ironic is I started out doing theater, and then I moved to comedy because I'd done musical theater, I'd done Shakespeare, I'd pretty much done it all, and I was like, what can I do next? So I was working with the ensemble first, and I graduated to comedy, but you did it the other way around.
Well, I did it because I couldn't get arrested as an actor. Because my first love was acting and studied theater when on the GI Bill after I got out of the service. And I always liked stand-up too. I like doing stand-up too. It was one of those things, but I never really thought about it. And then I started doing some in USO shows while I was in the service. That's kind of neat, but it was very service-specific material. It isn't really civilian type material.
No, you did that. I knew you had done service.
Right, maybe 3 minutes of that material could work on the outside, but that's all I had going for me at all. And then it's when I got out in Arizona, and that was one of those clubs that was there, Finney Bones, by a comic named Michael Finney. He was a comic magician, and David Spade was one of the regulars there, among other things. And then all the guys from LA, it was on the circuit. So I got to meet and work with Stephen Wright and Kevin Nealon and Jerry Seinfeld. And when these were club comics then, Jerry Seinfeld at the time was on the Tonight Show several times, but he didn't have a show. Then this was 84, 85. Yeah. And it was, that was a pivotal time. And then I started building up a little bit of an act. And then I got a chance to audition in New York for Biloxi Blues for a Broadway play. And I auditioned. I got an understudy part, and I figured, okay, now the phone's going to start ringing off the hook. No, it didn't. And it didn't at all for any acting. And I figured, well, I got 20 minutes. I can still get on the stage. And there was a guy named Dennis Ross who was out in New Jersey, and he booked all these club gigs that were out in New Jersey, upstate New York, and Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. And you would work 4 nights a week. You'd meet at the old improvisation, right? The original improvisation. Yeah. That was downtown. And you were going with Rory, you guys are going to Wappingers Falls, and then pick up the other guy, Chris Rock, and all these other, and Adam Sandler and all these other people that it was just like I started with, in Arizona, and then they were the same. I remember when Chris Rock got his television debut on the Joan Rivers show, and then they were doing it live in New York, and like at 5:00 they tape it live, and then it was shown live in New York at 5, and it would be shown via the satellite later on at midnight. And so there was a TV on the bar at the improvisation, and everyone's gathered around that were waiting to go out on their gigs, because we had our gigs, we had to go out like at 6:00, and the taping at 5. So everyone's watching this, and I'm looking around at the bar, and Larry Miller, Paul Reiser, Gilbert Gottfried, a guy named Lance Crowther, Charlie Murphy, everyone is like hanging around. Hey, Chris is, get a shot. Yay, Chris, go. And he was just like one of the guys who just gotten promoted. That was the great feeling. And then at that time, I mean, Larry Miller, was a big guy to me. But again, to the public, this was at that time you mentioned earlier that second wave of stand-up. I think it started in the 70s. I want to say when we got into it, when we got in Decline and George Carlin and Richard Pryor, that was the 70s when we were kids. And then the 80s, the second wave came.
I want to give a reference here for our audience that might not recognize Larry Miller's name.
Okay.
He's in the movie Pretty Woman as the guy that kisses ass when they go in to buy clothes. That's him. That's probably one of his funniest movie bits.
Well, he's also in Best in Show.
Yes.
When they're driving through, and he's one of the many exes that Eugene Levy's wife has, and he's like hitting on her at the dinner table, and their son is like real pissed off and goes up in the tree, and I will gouge your eye out with my thumb, you little prick, if you don't get out of that tree. Well, who did 20 minutes on skiing, which I thought was the funniest thing I'd ever seen in my life. If you ever pick it up, and if you ever see it on YouTube, when he does, I went snow skiing with my friends. I mean, that's the premise, and then he's off. I went snow skiing for the first time, and you'd think I would have a little more idea of what to expect. But no, boom, and then he's off. And the ride is incredible. But that was a great time, going back and seeing when nobody was nobody. And that was the day when Chris Rock got the nod, bling. And then he was off and running, and look where he is now. Same thing with Adam Sandler. I mean, I was riding in the back seat of a car with Adam Sandler, and we were riding.
Chris Rock finally got his big smack.
Everybody had to do it. Yes, he did. You won't believe this shit. I got a Chris Rock story for you. The day we're coming back, a comic by the name of Bill Rutkowski. We're driving back in from one of these gigs from Pennsylvania, and we're driving into the city. It's like 11 o'clock at night, and he said, "I know we can still get some stage time at the Comedy Cellar." My buddy Bill Grunfest, books it, and we could probably get it. There's no car phones or anything like that, so we're just okay, sure. I'm with this guy, Bill Rutkowski. I'm with him. I'm with the other comic. That's all I need to do. So we go there, and Colin Quinn was like the house MC. He's been the house MC forever. So, yeah, okay, you guys can go on. Yeah, sure. And then Chris is here, and I've seen Chris before at the club. And then it was like, and this was before we saw him on the Joan Rivers show.
Yeah.
And I'd seen him around working clubs and everything like that.
Oh, my God, he's so funny.
Yeah, Chris is, for a non-Jew, he's very funny. He's very funny.
My show.
I can tell him, Chris, and then Chris, let me tell you what Chris did. So it sounds like Eddie Murphy, but I had a car back in those days, and I was driving back in, and then so we did some time and everything, and then so Bill moves off, and I'm still hanging out trying to schmooze with Grunfest because I want to work, the Comedy Cellar a little more because this is my chance. And so Grunfest is like, yeah, come back, keep popping in and see him like that. Okay, so. These girls stick around. They want to talk to Chris, and they're talking to me and Chris. And I'm like, I got a car. I can give you guys a ride. No problem. All right, sure. So we have a couple of drinks. We're still talking, yada, yada, yada. Then they want to go out to Long Island and we'll take a drive. So I'm driving the 3 or 4 of us out to Long Island. And then I drop Chris off with this girl at this one house. And my date for the evening, we go someplace else, trying to find a place. And like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning, she's like, I want to go back to my friend. I need to get back with my friend. So, okay. So 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, I go back to her friend's house. And let her off, and I'm walking her to the front door, and then I could see, there's like a little courtyard. It's like a little gate, a courtyard, and the front door of the house. And then through the courtyard, there's like a bay window, and I see standing up like this, right, as a man. This was this girl's father. And right through here, right in this area, it's this black face, and it's Chris Rock. Imagine she's yes sir, yes sir, yes sir, yes sir. So we and this girl I was with, we walk into the house, and Chris goes, "Oh, there you are, man." I said, "Hey, sorry, we got turned around," and said, "Yeah, we got to go." So yeah, nice to see everybody. So we I didn't even say goodbye to the girls. He goes, "Oh, there you are, man. I've been waiting for you." Okay,
you saved Chris Rock.
And driving all the way back. Will you believe this shit? You wouldn't believe this shit. Oh, I've got some shit to tell you. You tell me what a brother is doing in the whitest neighborhood in all of America.
And daddy shows up.
And daddy shows up. Would you believe this shit? Holy shit. Oh, no.
He probably went back to that night when Will Smith smacked him.
Probably
Damn, that reminds me of that father that smacked me.
White boys in Long Island, you don't want to mess with their daughters. I tell you that.
Oh, man. So, Renee, did you find the other video?
No, please, God, don't. Or the one that you found?
Dad. It's the one with your dad. I want to talk about your dad.
The one that you found. The one that you had.
Yeah. From the Kathy Fountain show. Anyway, she's looking for that, I bet. Your dad was like the Walter Cronkite of the Tampa Bay area. He was a news guy on TV 13.
Yep.
And everybody watched your dad on TV, for the 6 o'clock and the 11 o'clock news.
Mm-hmm. That was the thing, and I guess that's kind of where I got the bug from. When you see your old man coming out of one of these things here, and everyone, the John Wayne movies came out of it, and the Johnny Carson and, Red Skelton and, Dick Van Dyke, everyone came out of that same box. And I thought he knew everybody because they all got to work at the same place. And I remember being, 5, 6, 7 years old. And on Saturdays, he would still go to the station because he was also news director. He had a ton of work he always had to do.
Yeah.
And my brother and I would just run crazy in the studios. And then the control room was like a spaceship. It was like NASA. And there's some guys that were, and the videotape had just come in so you could see the tape is rolling back. And then they were seeing some guys that were editing videotape, and you ask questions and they go, "Oh, what's this?" And then they were still had some film, and then they had moviolas that were in the edit bays. And my brother and I used to find old footage, literally stuff that was on the floor, the old University of Tampa football sports footage, and was to put it on the reels and run it backwards and watch the guys run backwards. We thought that was the funniest thing in the world. Watch, the ball comes in backwards, and then he runs backwards all the way, and then he gets out of his stance, and into the pool, out of the pool.
He's at the 40-yard line, the 30-yard line, the 20-yard line.
Yeah, then he's at the 40. Then he's back at the 80-yard line. Then he's at, And then we actually that came to a crashing halt. That came to a crashing halt when I actually took, I forget who, maybe Andy Hardy, who was the sports guy then. He actually had something that was on the moviola being edited, a piece he was working on, and I took it off, and I find it, I would cut it up or something. Was it? It was in the way. I just had to make room, and then I got a whooping from my dad. Always ask, don't touch anything if it's on there. Don't touch somebody's work, somebody who had spent, this was filmed. They shot it on film. They had to develop. They had a little lab right there at the TV station. You take this little high-8 film and you put it in, they call it the soup, and they'd have to develop the film, and then they have to edit and do everything. Now they shoot everything on their phones, and, it's the digital, editing formats that they have on their phone are incredible. But back in those days, I mean, somebody's hours worth of work, and some little punk kid with Tootsie Roll fingers just
we
came
were
in.
talking back at the time when we were doing comedy. They were doing the 3/4 inch, those giant video audio tapes.
Top loaders.
Thick.
Yeah.
They're like bricks.
Yeah. Boat anchors. Remember your first VCR, right?
Yeah. Well, that's half inch, which is
Right.
much smaller.
Right.
But the ones the TV studios use, those were 3/4 inch, were huge tapes. Yeah. And those machines would gum up, would get dirty. The heads would get dirty and gum up all the time. They'd have to clean them like several times a day.
Yeah.
So
and then Beta came along and changed everything, right?
Yeah. And then, like you said, then we moved on to the digital age. Now everything's digital. Even movies are digital now.
And you got the tapes are this big, you just you don't have any tape anymore. It's just a chip. It's just a chip. They put in a new card.
So, so we heard about how you first started comedy, but then you became Ward G. Smith. You were doing.
There's another Ward Smith that's out there.
Tell us about how you transitioned from the live comedy to work on TV.
That would just seem like a natural progression, when because in a toolbox, if you're on stage and if you're an actor, I'm a stage actor or I'm a film actor. I mean, what kind of a ball player are you? If you play baseball, you're just, I'm a better hitter than I am a catcher, or I'm a better runner than I am. You got to be a 4-tool, 5-tool player, right? You got to play all your positions. You got to, and the same thing with football. You got to block. You got to catch. You got to run, throw. In baseball, you got to run, throw, catch, hit. You got to do it all.
But there were some guys that just wanted to be road dogs.
So I just think it was just
they didn't want to be famous. They just wanted to do comedy on the road and connect with audiences.
True.
Yeah, I remember Chris Baker told me that when he was young. That I don't want to be famous. What do you want to be? Because I told him I want to be famous. I want to be a household name. I wanted to do TV and movies and stuff. And he was like, "Oh God, I don't want that. That's terrible. No, I want to just do comedy clubs. And I get it now. I mean, you lose all your
work. I mean, if you look at the acting resume of somebody like a Strother Martin or Olin Soleil or name escapes me, the guy from he was on
oh man, that is a really that's an over the top reference.
I mean,
that's Batman.
You've got guys who they've got they've got 70, 80,
Super Friends.
90 credits. Right. They've got credits up the wazoo, but they're not famous. They're constantly working. And that's what I would like to be. I mean, maybe you're famous as a result.
Dano. There you go.
Right.
Dub Taylor.
Have you've seen that movie, You're the Guy from That Thing? Have you seen that movie, You're the Guy from That Thing?
No.
Yeah, you'd love it. It's all about these great character actors because that's what they say. Hey, You're the guy from The Thing, aren't you? And they did it with ladies too. Hey, aren't you the lady that was in that thing? Well, you're the guy from that show. And it's like names that you'd know and faces that you'd see in everything, but no one knows the names.
Right.
And when those guys eventually they retire with union pensions and everything. So that's kind of a goal. Like now with MacGyver stuff like that. That was interesting because they shoot so much in Atlanta and it's so close you don't have to go to LA anymore.
Oh, okay.
There's more being shot in
Atlanta. They shot that in Atlanta.
Yeah, there's more being shot in Atlanta than there is in LA, period. Features, television, everything. It's supposed to be Florida, but they screwed around with the
Dead were being shot there.
And Louisiana. There's a lot of the film incentives that the state governments had in Louisiana and North Carolina. They had them here in Florida, but they screwed them all over.
They tried in Florida, but they screwed it over. They screwed it up.
And the governor just voted against, vetoed all arts funding as it is.
Oh, that too, yeah.
this time of on top of it. So Florida's got to get their shit together for the arts. So what better way for me
You
to
were
open
doing
a theater?
television. Were you doing most of your work in the southern states? I mean,
It was in
Carolina,
Atlanta.
Georgia.
In Atlanta. Most of the stuff I shot in Atlanta. Army Wives I shot in. That was in Charleston. Zoo was shot in New Orleans. Burn Notice was in Miami. I mean, that was one of the last shows.
You were on the TV show Nashville.
Yes, that was in Nashville, obviously.
That was in Nashville. Well, that makes sense.
Yep. They got great facilities out there, and as a result, I'd like to do that more. And one of the shows are nice, but it's really nice, and I'll be lying to say if I wasn't. The residual income is quite wonderful. Right. The passive income that you get from a 5 and under speaking part. And if I had 3 more credits, let's say newer credits of programming that's going to be in more streaming, I'm still getting checks from shows that I've done 8 years ago. These shows that I've done 8, 10 years ago.
Yeah, you get
because people run out of stuff to stream, and they go, "What else is there to stream?" And then Burn Notice, they'll have these marathons, or I'll get I'm huge in Ibiza, apparently. I got a check from overseas royalty from Spain and Ibiza. I mean, it was for $85, but I'm huge.
Yeah, I had a friend from my hometown who she did a guest spot. It was just a couple of lines on Miami Vice, and she was getting checks, like you said, for like $700. They would just pop out of nowhere. Oh yeah, they ran your episode.
Yep. And then and then it's percentage less of that, and then less of that, and less of that, and less of that. So sometimes you'll get a check for 18 cents. Serious. So the union can say, you can't say that we don't get you paid, but we said for 18 cents, eventually, you just have direct deposit. I was getting those checks in the mail. It was costing you more. I'm no Wharton school
of the stamp,
but the stamp costs more than the check inside of it. So, at some point, if it's under $5, can we make it to the old Actors Fund? Can I give it to a charity or whatever it is? So they figured, well, we just want to make sure you get your money. So then they finally got direct deposit, and those little checks and dribs and drabs, $17, and then the ones for 50 cents or 30 cents. At the end of a year, you just let it go, and next thing you know, you've got maybe enough for an airfare to go with your wife.
I had a script that the only script that I sold, I think I made $37 and some change on it. That's
wow.
And they made it into a movie, and it got distributed, and it got bought by Artisan Films, and they showed it, and Artisan Films tanked just shortly thereafter.
Right.
my movie killed it. Deadly Species. I made like less than $38, I think, on that. And they kept saying, everything's deferred. You'll get money later. And nah. The distributors got all the money.
Oh, sure. If there was anything to be had.
Oh, there was money to be had. Again, Artisan bought it.
Well, okay.
So somebody got money.
I did a film with I'm forgetting everything. I'm blanking. The movie that I did on there that I did with one of the guys, Simeon Rice, used to be a player on the Bucks, and then he fancied himself to be a filmmaker, and he directed a film, and it was geez, I remember. I can't remember the name. It was long and short of it was. They wanted me to come back. They wanted me to expand my role. But I heard a bunch of problems with it. And a lot of people just weren't being taken care of on that set.
Yeah.
A lot of actors weren't being compensated fairly. So I said, you take care of the colleagues, and then I'll come back. But they go, you don't understand. We want to give you a bigger part. And I said, that's fine, but you need to pay the other people. And I didn't go back.
Yeah, they didn't call you.
The way people work in this business, it's amazing how people still work in certain ways that way. You figure that eventually the business has a tendency of weeding out the bad people. Most businesses do. people, whatever it is, if you're selling widgets or if you're making movies, the business just weeds out the assholes and gets rid of the bad people.
I'd like to believe that.
You like it, but usually those people kind of flourish, and get promoted. 9 out of 10, you think most of the time the business takes care of itself. What is the what's the old expression? Jerks don't work. But eventually, if they have their own production companies, and and the jerk is signing your paycheck, what are you gonna do? You just don't work with them anymore. You realize maybe it's more important, maybe it's better off maybe just to sell widgets than it is to get in this cockamamie.
Integrity.
Right.
You played a lot of sheriffs and police chiefs and things like that on these TV shows. That's something to be a thing for you.
Well, that's what it is. That's your type. See, that's how I'm seen as authority types. I'm
that's a better way to describe it.
I'm the cop. I'm the DA. I'm the judge. I'm the professor. I'm dad, grandpa. So I'm not the leading man. I'm not. That's the Timothy Chalamets of the world. Those are the young 20-something guys. And
back in the day, though, when you were doing comedy, you were such a pretty boy. We used to make fun of you behind your back.
Did you really?
There goes pretty boy.
There you go. What can you say? Well, I've uglied up, so look at this. So now I'm
That's Ward G. Smith, by God.
Well, I had to put the G in there because there was another Ward Smith in.
I imagine there's more than one.
No, in SAG, registered with SAG. There's a Ward. I figured. I thought it was the only Ward Smith in the world. Jeez, let alone what are the odds of being him in SAG?
Well, the last name Smith.
Well, yeah, if it was Ward, I mean, but
it's not like John Smith, but yeah, there's got to be a lot of Ward Smiths out there because it's Smith,
But in SAG, I figured because I just put the G. How's that? I didn't want to change anything. I didn't want to change it to, Kevin Scott. Remember that episode when John Belushi changed his name? I'm not John. I'm Kevin Scott. I want anyone to call me Kevin Scott because it's a big Hollywood sounding name.
When you were talking earlier about the early days of comedy, when you were working with all those great people and like Seinfeld and everybody, that sketch from Saturday Night Live came into my head where Tom Hanks was the guest and they were all sounding like Seinfeld. They were all comics. Hey, hey, who's doing that bit? Come on, I gotta know. And I was going to ask you, was it really like that?
Sure. What that's the difference between Paul Reiser and Jerry Seinfeld, don't you? Paul Reiser is, who are these people? And Jerry Seinfeld is, who are these people?
So here we're seeing some pictures of what you're doing more late in what you're doing now. Basically, you've got a theater in Tampa, right? In the Tampa Bay area.
In St. Petersburg, I founded it with my sister, who she's been she's been on me for quite some time, for about past 6 or 7 years. So, she got tired of driving to Tampa to see me. She lives in St. Pete too. She said, "You got to find a place over in St. Pete." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, sure. Just find a place in St. Pete. Just find a place like that." And she said, "No, look, jerk, I'm serious." And I said, "Well, even if we found a place for a song, we still have to spend a lot of money outfitting it, lights, seats, curtains, the whole thing. And I don't know where to begin on that." So she said, "Well, just keep your eyes open." And the place that I have now was an acting studio. It was Andy Matheny's acting studio. And it had theater-style seating, and it had a light grid.
And
the sound system was ready to go. All I did was this was February 2021. Vaccines were just rolling out for the pandemic. And so we figured, the time it takes for us to get the theater up and running, hopefully we'll move on away from the pandemic and things will start to be on the mend.
Hold that shot.
People will start to be getting back to in-person performances. And so we figured let's give it a shot. So we used a good part of that in February, March, part of the summer doing redoing the floors that were concrete floors, and had to mend those in and fill in spots, and had to paint and all kinds of take walls down, put walls up, and now we're working on we're opening our 4th season in September, and this will be our 25th show in 3 years.
That's
and
great.
we've got 7 shows planned for the seasons coming up. We've got 3 planned for this year. We've got
Awesome.
Blackbird, is played by David Hauer. I'm in that one, and that's about a man who has an illegal relationship with a young woman some years prior, when he was 40 and she was 12.
So,
And now, these years later, she's a big girl. Now she confronts him at his office and says, "Hey, I'd like to talk to you about something." And so the very mishaps that occur when they confront each other in the break room. That's a very gripping, very challenging 2-hander. That's 85 minutes, and you don't get up for air. People want, this girl wants answers, and he just wants to be left alone. So we're starting off with Blackbird, and then our Halloween offering is a solo performance of one person's story, telling of the Headless Horseman, the Inca Broad. It's called The Hollow.
Right.
Great story, just called The Hollow, and then another show by Adam Rapp called The Sound Inside. And then we're closing up with Tuna Christmas. And then next year in 2025, we're doing a show called Two Across, about strangers who meet doing crossword puzzles on a subway train. Then Morning After Grace takes place in a retirement center, not unlike we'd see around the state of ours. And then we're doing a show called Lovebird. It's about a bird who is alone by itself and starts to make a companion out of washed up debris, until another bird comes on and starts to covet the other bird. Wait a minute, this is mine. No, well, I can't have it. Well, won't you want me? I'm a real thing. I want this one because this doesn't give me any problems. I don't want to deal with problems from another bird. So it's a fun thing. I get a chance to do some neat theater and
yeah.
Give opportunities to some other artists, and see people flourish and be a part of the scene, which is kind of neat.
That's great. That's fantastic. That picture that Renee just showed of you in the pinstripe suit doing a little dance number there.
Oh, yes, that was Brush Up Your Shakespeare.
Exactly. When I saw it, the two guys, when I saw it, that's what immediately came to my mind, because I saw the Kiss Me Kate poster right after.
Yep.
And I'm like, he's doing Brush Up Your Shakespeare there.
That was the 11 o'clock number, and it came at 11 o'clock in that show. The show started at 8, right?
Yeah.
And it's a long ass show.
Long that show is it that long? Really?
It is that long, and it comes in the second act. But the 11 o'clock number, I mean, they're called 11 o'clock numbers for a reason, because they come at 11 o'clock. And usually it's the showstopper. It wakes people up. It's dance 10, looks 3, like it was in the chorus line, or it's, tradition. It's boom, it gets the people, gooses them up again. And that was a lot of fun to work in the Palladium, in an 800-seater. And when we're coming out during the vamp is being played, and then we start getting applause during the vamp. Didn't open my mouth yet. And you start to get an applause and laughter, because now people are going, "Oh, the end is near." We've been waiting for this number for so long.
Start quoting him now,
right?
And the women you will wow.
It's a
great number.
If she says your behavior is heinous, kick her right in the Coriolanus. You gotta love Cole Porter, right?
Wonderful song.
Boy, that was a great.
You spent a lot of time traveling lately too with your lovely wife.
Yes. My lovely wife and I. Yes, that was on our honeymoon.
Time
Actually,
in Italy.
Yes, we just got back from our third trip over to Italy. We've been able to.
I'm an art lover, so it's my favorite place in Europe.
Oh man, you would just go completely bonkers over there. I mean, just.
Oh yeah, I love it. I've been over there several times, and
and every place, every every church, every.
Got to go back to Florence. Got to go back to Venice. There you are in Venice.
Yeah, every little place where there is art, it's amazing. I can't draw a straight line, so and I marvel at every the classics that are over there too. I mean the Donatellos and the Brunellos and not the Brunello, that's a wine. The Botticellis and the Rembrandts and the wonderful arts that's over there, and I just marvel at how they constructed those things. Like in Florence, for say, when they built that big Duomo, how they got all that marble up the river and then up the road with ox and manpower and lifted all that stuff in place, and it's still standing. It's just and with the Medici, Florence, it's amazing. We did Sicily this time, and that's something that that's one thing that the Sicilians are not, and that's Italian, and they'll let you know that. And this is the real, the Italians want to be
culture.
Yeah, and that was a wonderful from Palermo.
Have you done Amsterdam yet?
I've been to Amsterdam, in the past when I was in the service, but I haven't been with my wife now.
Yeah, because you mentioned Rembrandt, and that's all about the Van Gogh and the Rembrandt up there,
and the Vermeers and that are in
the Franz Halls.
Right. Well, during the show next year, we're also doing next fall. I'm doing remounting. We're doing Red. 3 shows. We're doing Red, White, and Art. It's about the art business. Red is about Mark Rothko, and that's when he got a commission back in the '60s to paint some frescoes for the Four Seasons restaurant, and actually. 1958, actually, when it happened, and he was paid an ungodly sum of $25,000. No other artist had ever gotten a commission like that at all. This is now his a Rothko goes for $15 million.
Right.
One painting. So this was back when the abstractionists and Pollock and and de Kooning and all those guys were they just crushed the Cubist movement, but the pop scene was on the rise. Warhol, Basquiat, those guys were just on they get rid of these, they get rid of this movement, and there's his assistant Ken, who comes
they overshadow it.
Sorry?
Yeah, they overshadow it. Yeah,
a little bit. Well, his assistant kind of represents the new art movement coming in.
Yeah.
Guys like you and Pollock, his assistant says, you're going to be gone, and then the next, you got to get out of the way, old man. And then Rothko's reluctant to change. What, you want your soup cans? You think that's art? Yeah, you and your freaking soup cans? Yeah, go ahead, enjoy that. You don't know what art is, kids, And then Ken's like, well, you old guys are just a bunch of blowhards and your time is over with. So that's that dichotomy. And you'd like that. So it's written by John Logan. It's a really interesting piece.
It's written by John Lovitz.
John Logan. I'm sorry.
Oh, Logan.
John Logan. I can see Lovitz doing this.
I know a lot about art.
Okay.
I know.
I know what I like, damn it. You mean red? You mean persimmon? You mean rose? You mean sparkle? What do you mean red?
Yeah, I'm a good painter.
It means more red. It means more red.
That's the ticket.
Cinnamon. It means Carillion, Carmen, anything but red. You don't know shit about red. That would be funny as hell. John Lovitz as Mark Rothko.
So have you reached nirvana? I mean, are you there? Are you at the best part of your life right now?
Well, I would say yeah. I am. At 61, I'm finally content. I mean, artistically, I have a showbiz job.
Mm-hmm.
My day job is I'm at the theater all day long. Yeah. I'm studying my lines for the show that opens in September. We start rehearsal in August. So I'm in my pre thing. I'm produce all the other plays, the ones that I'm not in, to make sure if you're directing a show, make sure you've got your people and you've got your materials and you're lined up to go. Once my show opens up, then you start a rehearsal, the following week, and make sure I get all that stuff lined up and everyone's ready to go. So I just got to just do it now. And
so you are directing some of the shows.
Yes, I am. And for this particular year, for this year, I'm in one. I'm in two. I'm in Blackbird, and I'll be in Tuna Christmas. The next year, I'm directing Morning After Grace. I'm directing one, and then I'm in one, and then I'll be in Red, and that'll be after the summertime. And if it falls out, I mean, directing shows back to back, like being in a show back to back, you get burned out, Rory. It's just like, how long are you going to be on the road? At one point, you've got burnt out, and you said, "Listen, I mean, if you want to have a family, you've got to be home for them. I know you have a daughter. You have to be there for your children. You can't be gone all the time. Well, you can be. Then you're not.
Be like Pete Hefty and bring all your kids on the road with you,
right? And have them on the road with you, and actually have more children on the road,
and not have a car.
I think you had 2 kids.
My kids are coming with me. We got room for the suitcase in the back, right?
And his wife's pregnant with another kid. So,
yeah.
So, guys like that who made it happen. And they lived in the hotel room, and before homeschooling was even a thing. I mean, he did it. I mean, you can count Pete Hefty on one hand, a guy who put a family on the road and made it swing. I mean, the grass is always greener. I don't want to paint too rosy a picture of it, but it wasn't my family. I don't know how he did it. Pete's a great guy, and I don't think the children are any worse from the wear. Although it's like I can see him, Dad, I want to juggle. Go to your room and write a parody. No, Dad, I want to juggle. Go to your room and write a parody. I mean, I don't know how you can do that, Dad. I don't know about the puppet thing anymore. Oh, my son, the monologist. Oh,
Well, by the way, Dennis Regan is playing on the other side of town tomorrow.
Dennis
Regan. And Lou Angel Wolf's going to be there, and Jeff Barrett's going to be there. I'm really, really thinking I'm going to pop over there because I haven't seen those guys in ages.
Where's the other side of town for you? Where are you?
I'm in Altamont Springs, which is on the east side of Orlando.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is over closer to Disney area.
You were close. Vicki Rossman lived out in Altamont Springs. Remember Vicki?
I remember Vicki. We just lost her. I didn't realize. I thought she was in South Florida, like in the West Palm area.
No, in Altamont. I remember that going to Altamont and going over the bridge and making that right by her place as soon as you got outside of Orlando.
Oh man,
she lived right there. That's one of the last few times I went to her place.
Yeah, we've been here for about 5 years.
She was a good lady. She was a good lady. I heard a lot of shit about Vicki, but she always paid. And she helped people. Treated me nicely. There's so many people that were instrumental.
She had her own comedy workshop that she did. Yep. And again, she helped a lot of young comics who were just starting out. She helped them to get gigs and helped them to get paid and helped them to get, circuits, get work. And yeah, she's... I mean, you realize again, the few times that I met her, she was a very sweet lady. She was a very nice lady.
Between her, Mike and Mark, and Bob, I mean, we could all work for 12 weeks.
Yeah.
And then when you got done, it was enough time had passed, you could start all over and do it again. Especially if you're in Florida and you're a decent MC, and you're a decent MC / feature, you can work. Because nobody wanted to MC. Everyone thought that they were a feature. And then the great Lou Deck told me that, MC is the greatest gift because you're on stage the most. You have the most stage time of anybody else. During the course of a week, the other acts come and go, but you're there. So, okay. Yeah. And it's, Rory's my guest. Not coming to the stage right now. My next guest is Rory. So make it your show. And then, if they like you, they're going to like Rory. So don't piss on the job. I'm just the MC and then you're going to piss off the audience, and then you set the tone for the show. It's in the shitter, and then everyone has to work harder because of you. Because I'm the MC and I got the shittiest gig. When they see you first and you set the tone, and then they see you again. Like Bobby Jewell would say, "Oh, hi folks, it's me. I'm back." Or as most people know me by my Irish name, "Oh, him again."
Bobby Jewell.
Yeah,
There's a name I haven't heard in a while.
there's a name, huh? You probably haven't heard my name in a long time either.
No. I've been telling everybody I've been trying to get Wordsmith on this show.
Oh man,
since we started it. And yeah, but you were very busy starting up the theater.
and to answer your question, I mean, yeah, I'm doing it. I mean, I'm about to. I get crazy when rehearsal starts. Usually it's going to be at night from 7 to 10. But
So
the director this one,
the show. We
this
found a good
girl,
time.
This one girl, no, the girl I'm doing the show with, she's available during the day, and so is the director. So the stage manager, not so much, but we can still get a lot of work done. So we can work for at least 2 weeks, I think, and I'd be home by 5, which is great.
So that takes me into new territory, because I don't think I've had anybody on the show that could tell me about the backstage end of what goes on in a stage production. So what are the toughest things about putting on a stage production?
Money. Just getting the cash. I've been very fortunate.
Okay, money for?
Well, you need the rights. If I want to do a play by Rory, right, I got to contact Dramatist Play Service,
Samuel French,
or Concord Theatricals, somebody who owns your publishing, right? Exactly, which is Concord Theatrical. They've changed their name. So yeah, and if I want to do Rory's newest play, it's $125 per performance, and to be considered for awards, you have to do a minimum of at least 9 performances. So if you want to be considered for local awards, 9 to 12 performances. So so if it's $1.25 times 9
weekends.
Yeah, that's weekends too. It's whatever it is. It's got 9 performances. And I'm Thursday through Sunday.
Okay.
And then and that's when I open. It's Thursday through Sunday, and then the following it's 2 weekends, and then the second Wednesday of every show is Pay What You Can Wednesday. I have student available tickets available for all performances, and then another discount night is Pay What You Can on that first Wednesday. Mm-hmm. So I try to make it accessible and affordable. Tickets are $35, and I have 43 seats. So $35 times 43 is.
So that's a black box theater.
That's my black box. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So my fees pretty much are for rights. The fees that rights is what I come up. So for the sake of rounding it up and everything, let's call $100 a performance for Rory's. I want to do 9, so that's $900. Boom. That's rights for Rory's play. Boom. Then I can start advertising. Once I get the rights, I can say the Off Central Players are doing Rory's newest play. Boom. Because I paid the rights and I can put it out. Then I have to pay my people, and I try to give them $1,000 each for the commitment. It's 24 days rehearsal. 24 days is the window. And that 24 days, you can use all of it. Well, I don't know if somebody's sick, can't make it, but you got 24 days. And then you open. Day 25 is opening day.
Well, the advertisement money and the sets, build the sets. The advertisement costs money. You got to build.
I haven't even gotten there yet. I'm just looking at the commitment for the actor.
Yeah.
So if there's 2 people in the actor, so I give them $1,000 each. The director gets about the same, and so does the stage manager. Because they're in it, the director is gone. His commitment is table read and then opening night. He's pretty much done. The stage manager runs the show for the rest of the run. The stage manager is another member of the cast. So if you got 2 people on the stage and then a stage manager, so that's 3 people I got to run for it. And then, so that's 900 plus $1,000 for 2 actors, so that's $2,900. $1,000 for the director, $3,900, and then $1,000 for the stage manager, right? $4,900.
Yeah.
$4,900, $5,000 per show. Haven't built sets yet. You know, my set designer, you know, I reimburse for cost and materials, and then my light guy, he's $500 a show, just to design the lights. And the simpler I can make it, the better. The simpler I can make the sets, the better. So I find people now with my ensembles. One of my actors, one of my directors is also a great set builder. So the guy who's directing Blackbird that's coming up, he's also a set builder.
Okay.
So I get Alan for his fee plus a set fee. On top of it, we negotiate a certain price. He knows he's not going to rate me. I've only got 43 seats. My revenue is based on my seats. I don't have 200 seats at $35 a pop.
Right.
I've got 43 seats at $35 a pop. So the most I can make is what $3,000 a night, something like that. So 3 times 9 that's how much I stand to make for the run. I pay off my.
If you sell out every show.
If I sell every show, and I haven't. I've come close during the runs because I still have pay what you can nights, and then I have military discount students $20 nights, you know,
Right.
And then, but if I try and if I try and get everyone to buy in at $35 when American Stage and Free Fall's prices are going up.
Yeah.
Inflation hits everybody. I mean, my paint costs go up. You know, a gallon of paint is $5 more than what it used to be. You know, lumber's gone up, crazy. I mean, I try and recycle a bunch of stuff. It's it's in my shop. And we use lumber for sets, and I've got flats. I've got 6 flats I can paint and go crazy with. I'm starting to accumulate stuff, and I'm sure you are too. I mean, you know how it is. I mean, you're a painter. I mean, how much stuff do you just accumulate?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just stuff. I mean, how many brushes and how many tubes of paint and how many canvases that you've painted on that are just stacked up, and maybe you say, I'm going to gesso them and get around to them. I'll recycle them, and you haven't yet. Well, I like that piece. I don't want to let it go yet. Or you've got stuff you just haven't even treated yet. You've got stuff you haven't started on paint yet. You got stuff just sitting in the corner. It's like either use it or sell it or come on. So this time of the year, before the shows get kicked in, this is where I'm doing a lot of housekeeping at the theater, throwing out people who said, "Oh, I'm just going to make a donation to the theater award." I don't want your shit, okay? I don't want it. I mean, I had it. It was great for a set piece that I used in one show, and you can come pick it up. Oh, that's a donation for the theater. That means you're not going to come get it. Well, I'm going to put it on the street. Oh, you're going to throw that out? I don't want it. I can't. Unless you want to
store it. Yeah, there you go.
Unless you want to help me pay for storage. No. But these are small problems to have. I mean, it's a manageable problem of 43 seats. If I had a place like the Palladium or a place like, Job Site Theater, I had 200 seats I had to worry about filling and programming that bring in that revenue. That's a big headache. That's a really big headache. And the businesses fail for 2 reasons: for poorly funding and poorly managed. And I think with my sister, who's really at the controls here for me. I mean, she's keeping things in check.
Well, you sound like you've got a handle on it. It sounds like you know what you're up against, and you know how to handle it. So
I'm trying to. I'm making a lot of stuff up as I go along, and trying to figure out. Okay, if I worked for this company, how would I want to do it? What would I like to see?
I'm wishing you all the luck in the world, brother. I do.
Thank you. I'd love for you to get out. I'd love for you to get out and see a show. And
I would like to. Send me information on your shows, and I'll try to see if I can get out there sometime and see you.
Great Dennis Regan story. You can tell that it's one of him if you get out to see him. I was working with Brian Regan, his brother. Kids don't know, Brian Regan is a phenomenal comic, and we were working at Mac's famous bar in Daytona, and Brian says, my brother's going to do some time, and I'm emceeing. He said, my brother's going to do some time tonight. And that's cool. Yeah, that's fine. He said, I just want to set you up. He's going to like heckle me, right? I'm going to be up for like 20 minutes, and he's going to start heckling me, just so you don't throw him out. He's letting everybody know that this is my brother. And then the line is, okay, pal, you think you can do this? You come up and you do it. So Dennis got up and did the rest of Brian's act. And it was killer stuff because it was Brian's act. And then Brian's sitting next to this girl going, you suck, pal. Hey, babe, let's get a room, you know. And then you see, not so easy, is it, pal? And then Brian is like, and they said the whole thing up. He says, I'm just about to get to my closer. Hold on just a second. And then he destroyed. And I'm like, that's brilliant. I mean, how many people really didn't get the joke? You know, hey, man, that dude was really funnier than you, man. You let that guy get up on your stage. Wow, he blew your doors off, man.
Yeah, that could give some bad people the wrong idea.
I mean, yeah, give me half of Brian Regan's act, and I'll do pretty well too. You know,
just like Gallagher's brother was doing half of his act.
Right, Gallagher too. Right.
Yes. Well, it's so great to see you again, man. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And again, I can't wish you enough luck with your business that you're doing now. I'm so happy for you that you're doing what you want to do, and that you and your lovely wife are getting around and seeing the world as well. Sounds like you're doing what you want to be doing.
Finally, I mean, it's amazing, and you are too. I mean, we hang in there long enough, we be too stubborn enough to quit, you know, and just keep hanging in there, and stuff starts falling our way. It's good to see you. You're looking well. I mean, you've got all your hair, you've got all your teeth. You're not in the nut house. You know, you're not in the nut house. You don't have a nice jacket with the sleeves that tie in the back.
They haven't got me yet. You know? I'm moving around. You know, they haven't got me.
There you go.
All right.
Don't let them get you, man. All right, Rory. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you all for watching.
Take care.